Larry Colmus calls the Kentucky Oaks.
And they're all in line. We are ready for the start. Oh, and acting up in the starting gate there is Empress of Midway. Oh, and Empress of Midway has flipped in the starting gate here. We are going to have a delay here at the start of the Kentucky Oaks. Empress of Midway has flipped in the starting gate, and we will have a delay.
Donna's very close.
Tom, Empress of Midway flipped pretty badly in the gate. By flipped, I mean that she reared up and sat down. Oftentimes, they'll rear up in the starting gate, and then they'll just go back onto all fours again. This is a filly who reared up, but then lost control of her footing on her hind end, and so she's really sitting on her butt right now. They're trying to get the horses unloaded on each side of her so that other horses don't get injured when they do try to get her out of the starting gate. Now that they have those horses on each side of her unloaded, they'll open up the front doors and try to get her out the front to get her out as safely as possible.
And Corey Nakatani, you saw him, he was helped out of the gate too, but then is standing up observing. So as they try to get Empress of Midway.
Yeah, she is up and out. Now what happens is there is an association veterinarian at the starting gate at all times to look over horses like this and make sure that they're okay and decide if they're going to scratch her or let her run. And that's the question right now. As they start to lead her back, she's apparently out.
Yeah, she's just been scratched. The veterinarian, who is watching at all times, has told the stewards that Empress of Midway should be scratched.
Looks like she's standing perfectly. They're really close to starting the race. I mean, we warm these horses up to get their blood pumping, and hers obviously was. Donna explained it pretty well. They'll go up a lot of times, but sometimes they lose their balance, which appears what she did.
There she is, just as Donna said, sitting down, and then gets up.
Didn't really seem too upset about the whole thing after she got out.
No, and she looks to be okay, but obviously for precautionary reasons, you don't want to take any chances at all after something like that happens. Now, this is a horse that has a lot of speed, so she was going to be a part of the early paces. Yeah. Corey Nakatani, who would have ridden her, dejectedly watches on.
So she's being taken back now to the paddock after being scratched by the veterinarian after rearing up in the gate. Flipping is the racetrack term. Not quite right, but sitting down in the gate in her case. So Corey Nakatani watching, and now luckily he was not injured.
This is one of the real improvements that's been made in horse racing over the decades, because once upon a time,
especially Untappable, she was really on the muscle. It's hard to know how each individual horse would react, but they all let down a little bit once you take the rider off.
And there is Empress of Midway now back in the paddock area after being scratched after that gate mishap.
Now, once they put the riders back on, typically they don't give them a chance to warm up again.
As was the jockey, Corey Nakatani. Tom?
All right, so that's good news. And we'll now reload the horses again for the Kentucky Oaks. As Unbridled Forever, the Dallas Stewart trainee, a long shot, as was her mother, and she won the Oaks, paying $96. Unbridled Forever at 13-1 at the moment. Untappable still the heavy favorite. So back into the gate. Let's go back to Larry Colmus with the call of the 140th Kentucky Oaks.
Got Lucky has taken her spot in the starting gate. There'll be one left to load, and it's Untappable, the favorite, taking the outside stall, goes in. They're all in line, ready for the start. And now, acting up in the starting gate is Fashion Plate. Fashion Plate has unseated Gary Stevens, who's getting back aboard, and we're just about ready for a start here. They're off in the Kentucky Oaks. And it was a slow start for Fashion Plate. And there goes Sugar Shock. Right out to take the early lead. It's Sugar Shock to the front. And My Miss Sophia is right up and on the pace, and Untappable is there too. Thank You Mary Lou settles back running at fourth and now takes third. Untappable is fourth to the outside. And they're followed by Aurelia's Bell, and right alongside of her is Unbridled Forever as they race on that first turn. In behind them, Maria Antonia, Kiss Moon to the outside. A break of another 2 to Please Explain. And then we come back to Rosalind, who is third last early on, just ahead of Got Lucky. And at the back of the field, it's Fashion Plate. They went 23 and 3 for the opening quarter mile, and Sugar Shock leads the way up the backstretch. With My Miss Sophia pressing the pace on the outside second. Thank You Mary Lou is third. Untappable is just off the leader. She's 3 lengths behind at this stage. Then comes Ria Antonia to the outside of Unbridled Forever, while Aurelia's Bell rides the rail 5 lengths off the lead. And then it's back to Kiss Moon. Please Explain. Rosalind is moving up on the far outside. She's got 6 lengths to make up, and it's a long way back to Got Lucky as they round the far turn, and last of them all is Fashion Plate. 47 and 4 for a half mile. Around the far turn they go, and now there goes My Miss Sophia to the front, but Untappable is right at her neck on the outside, and these two turn for home together in the Kentucky Oaks, and Untappable and Rosie Napravnik have taken the lead. My Miss Sophia tries her best to stick with her, but Untappable is moving away. She's 3 lengths out in front of My Miss Sophia as they come down to the final 16th. It's Untappable. Untappable is well clear. She is unstoppable. She is uncatchable. She is untappable. She wins the Kentucky Oaks over My Miss Sophia. Unbridled Forever was third, and then came Rosalind in fourth.
Well, Untappable was as advertised. The heavy favorite, Steve Asmussen, the winning trainer, certainly happy to see something positive occur in his life these days, as he's been the subject of the controversy which we covered earlier. And now he has won the Kentucky Oaks with Untappable, and Rosie Napravnik has won her second Kentucky Oaks title.
It was almost a yawner. I mean, it was never in any suspense. Rosie had the Untappable in a really good position. Now, I don't know if she was aware right off the bat that Fashion Plate got left, because it did change the pace complexion, so she was a little bit closer with Untappable. But she had My Miss Sophia in her sights at all times. Sugar Shock, I don't think she was too much worried about. But it was funny because on the far turn, there was a loose rein. It wasn't like Untappable was pulling her out of the saddle or anything, being very aggressive during the middle of the race. But when Rosie called on her turning for home, she was there.
And My Miss Sophia ran a heck of a race, and she's a good filly, and yet Untappable just left her for dead here at the top of the lane. 3 wide on the first turn, losing ground. 3 wide on the second turn, losing ground. But when you've got a Cadillac like Rosie Napravnik has underneath her here in Untappable, it doesn't make any difference at all.
Much the best in the Kentucky Oaks today, as Rosie just keeps her mind on her business, takes her down to the finish line. And for Rosie Napravnik, another Kentucky Oaks win after Believe You Can back in 2012. And what did she say to Josh earlier? I own this race.
She does. And if she keeps getting mounts like this, she'll continue to own it.
It's Untappable. Winchell Thoroughbreds, the owner, Steve Asmussen, the controversial trainer, watching the race.
Go on, baby, go! Go on, baby, go! Yes, baby, go!
And celebrates a victory in the 140th Kentucky Oaks. Let's go to Donna.
Josh Elliott talked to you, and you said, I own this race. Rosie, you've just proven, indeed you do. In the last 3 years, you've won it twice. Tell me about Untappable's win today.
She was really great. You know, we ended up from the outside post. I wasn't worried about the post like some people were, but we got into a great position. She runs her best when she can just get into a great stride, and she relaxes so nice. She's growing up, she's maturing, and she is magnificent.
She was the favorite coming into the race. She came into here off of 2 straight wins this year. You know, everybody knew she was the filly to beat, but at all points, did you feel like you had plenty of horse underneath you?
Absolutely. She just, you know, she shuts off and she relaxes, and she kind of gives me the ear twitch, like, let me know when you want to go. She's absolutely fabulous. I'm so thankful for Winchell and for Steve for having me on her.
Rosie, a little bit of drama before the start of the gate with a couple of fillies acting up in the starting gate. She looked like she got a little hot. Were you concerned at all?
She came out of the paddock a little hot, but she really calmed down when she got on the track, and there's a lot more space, less people. But we went in the gate the first time and took the halter and shank off right before it happened. So then she was without that, and when we came out and we had to walk around behind, she relaxed even more than she was before. And she stood in the gate perfectly, got out perfectly. She's perfect.
Well done. And you're pretty perfect in this race, too. Congratulations.
Thanks, Donna.
Let's go to Tom Hammond.
All right, Donna, thank you very much. It looked like she twitched both ears to me. She won so easily. Rosie said she twitched her ear saying, when do you want me to go? And when she was asked to go, definitely she did. Let's go to Bob Newmeyer.
Steve, you've won thousands of races in your life. I've never quite seen you as animated as you were today.
Under the circumstances, it meant a great deal. It's quite obvious and stuff. Just so thankful for the Winchells for riding this through, and they're just blessed with a beautiful mare. And I can't just the feeling of when she stuck that pretty face of hers in front, just a wonderful day.
What about the relationship with the filly, Rosie, and you?
Well, it's working out really well. Listening to Rosie's comments on her, the filly's just matured so well over the winter, and it's just lovely to see her show herself on a stage like today.
Given the number of races that you won that have been very, very important, where does this rank on your hit parade, Steve Asmussen?
It is what we needed to do today. We just want everybody to feel about Untappable the way that we do. She's just a great filly, just Winchell homebred by greatest sire in the world right now, Tappet. It just means so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Kenny Rice. All right, Bob, I'm with the on-call vet, Dr. Larry Bramlage. Empress of Midway was scratched before the race. She had fallen in the gate. Larry, what do we know about her?
Well, from all outward appearances, she's fine. She just had gone up on her hind legs and was sort of sitting on her butt and in a position awkwardly for quite a few seconds, and so they couldn't afford to let her run. It's precautionary to take her out of the race.
Is it as simple to say as there's a matter of just losing the balance and no fear of injuries beyond that?
Near as we can tell, there's nothing obvious that she did. She just couldn't be examined fast enough with all the horses in the gate to safely let her run. So for safety's sake, she was taken out.
And she's okay to this point as far as we know?
Absolutely. Can't find anything wrong with her.
All right, Dr. Bramlage, thank you. I also talked to Doug O'Neill, the trainer, Tom, and he said that she looked fine to him. He was going to check her out again to make sure, but everything looks good for her, Tom.
All right, Kenny, and into the winner's circle, Untappable. A filly by Tappet from Funhouse by Prize, bred by her owners, the Winchell Thoroughbreds, and the Winchells, with all the controversy surrounding trainer Steve Asmussen, stayed with him, kept their horses with him, including Untappable, who takes the Kentucky Oaks. And here come the payouts. Untappable, $4, $3.20, and $2.60. Sophia, $49.10, and the Super, $2.98.90. The second fastest Kentucky Oaks in history, 148.68. And the resounding winner, Untappable, ridden to victory by Rosie Napravnik to take the 140th edition of the Kentucky Oaks. Untappable is your Kentucky Oaks champion.
On top of an absolute beast.
No traffic, no dirt in her face, so as they turn for home, she's certainly got a lot of filly left, and it's surprising how easily she got by Miami Sophia, who looked like she was locked and loaded, ready to punch out herself. Even a strong finish by Unbridled Forever never even threatened to menace Untappable. I mean, there was no drama at all in the stretch run.
So 4 lengths back to the runner-up, My Miss Sophia, and then Unbridled Forever, who's a nice filly herself, was beaten 10 lengths.
I think your point's well taken. These are nice fillies behind her, and she's making them look ordinary.
So the real interesting subplot that Josh Elliott was talking about now is what happens in 2 weeks. I mean, Steve mentioned that he doesn't want Untappable to get in the way of Tapiture. They're hoping Tapiture runs well enough tomorrow to move on to the Preakness in 2 weeks. But if he doesn't, and if the Kentucky Derby horses tomorrow look like that they could be beatable by Tapiture, don't be surprised to see her in there.